Hey, out in the alfalfa field evaluating yield. It's July 23rd. We're at third cutting for harvesting for next week. Like to run you through a few varieties that we saw and some observations. We're going to start off here with our Harvextra Megatron. We're at an estimated 1.25 tons per acre. And again, we're going to be harvesting next week, but 1.25 tons for our yield estimate for this Harvextra with the quality component to it.
Here we've moved to a competitive fall dormancy 4. You can see the sharp decrease in the yield estimate. We're at an estimated 1 ton per acre or a little bit less.
We have our Roundup Ready Nemastar, and here we've got 1.5 tons for the estimated third cutting. So we had a bump up there, so that's a nice variety that we want to look at here in Burley, Idaho.
A little bit up closer with the Nemastar. We had Nemastar performing very well across our region. In Burley, it did very well, and it was 21 to 25 inches, so 1.3 to 1.56 tons per acre estimate on the Nemastar. Also with that strong resistance to stem nematode, and it has good salt tolerance because of it being bred here in the Pacific Northwest. Here's up close. You have Rick Spiker, our seed DSM, that was helping me out with looking at the alfalfa here in Burley. So we have the Roundup Ready Nemastar in the back compared to competitive fall dormancy 4 in the front. Here on the left you have the Harvextra Megatron, and then on the right you have the Nimbus. So we've got, on this comparison, when they're side by side, they're about an inch difference in height. So here's again a visual for Rick to help with so you can see it in the different spots. So the Megatron has a huge advantage with the quality. The Nimbus and the Nemastar were both growing very well in Burley at this grower field location, and it's a colder environment than we would have in Nampa or in Tushy, Washington. But we did see with the Nimbus and the Nemastar that they had a little bit more variability in what we would have as far as height and as far as maturity. So let's look a little bit closer at some of the Nimbus. Anywhere from 22 to 23 inches, so 1.38 to 1.44 tons per acre estimate. There's the overall field, and you can see some of that there's some bloom in there. Up close, you had some that was hardly had any nodes, a little bit of a node, up to had the nodes and were starting to bud all the way to flower. So the Nimbus was definitely not going to be as good a quality as the Megatron, but if you're after the yield component and it growing, then the Nimbus or the Nemastar were definitely good choices. Here's Rick standing with a driver, Harvextra driver at 22 inches compared to a competitive fall dormancy 4 was only at 17 inches. So the driver was doing very well here in Burley also. A little bit up close for you, 1.25 to 1.38 inches, or tons per acre, excuse me, for Harvextra driver. Sativa is Very good variety. It's superior in tough soils with high saline conditions. It has a high resistance to stem nematode and also multi-species aphid resistance. So the Saltiva has been a very good performer for us. And here in Burley in the growers field, we had 1.3 to 1.4 tons per acre. So very solid performance with Saltiva in Burley. Here's Rick with Rebound 6XT and also Roundup Ready Prestige. The Rebound comes back very fast. It is, you look at the fall dormancy on the Rebound, it's a 4.3, but it definitely comes back fast, and you can see that there with it compared to the Prestige. So great choice for green chop and if you were after that conventional variety. Prestige has very good quality. You can see the Rebound there, getting some good yield to it. Not quite as much, but still good for the Prestige. And it is a Roundup Ready variety. Okay, so our legendary XHD multifoliate has good quality as far as that goes. You have to look at all the leaves down in, and so it's not going to have the same height to it or the same yield component, but it definitely has the quality piece that's there. Okay, so let's look at some of the Burley data from across the years. The first that I showed you was looking at it from this year and what we're seeing now. But if we look back in time, we look through, it was planted in 2017. Then here you can see the data for 2018, 2019, and then the two cuts that have been done so far for 2020. Then you can see on the far right the yield, that's M to Y. So that's your summation basically of your yield that you look there. And then your percent of check is comparing it to what the check varieties would be. So Legendary, with it being that Fall Dormancy 3, and Prestige, both Fall Dormancy 3s. The Legendary and Burley did not perform as well on the yield side, which is to be expected, but you can see that the Prestige, Rebound, Driver, Megatron, Nimbus, Nemastar, Saltiva all performed above what the Czech varieties did and had very good yields there in Burley. Then if we look at the forage quality component, this is for 2018, representative across. You can see I mentioned earlier when we were looking at the Prestige as far as the height that the quality was good. You can see there that the quality is very good here in Burley, with the relative forage quality being 193. So that was very good. Megatron and Driver in Burley were 194 and 200. So Nimbus, as I mentioned, more on the yield side, not as much on the quality side. It was comparable to the controls, but not near as good as you would have for your Driver or your Megatron. This one is looking at multi-year comparison, so not just one site, but trying to put multiple years together and look at the sites and see where we came up. You can see that the Legendary really likes the conditions in Nampa compared to Burley. Prestige has performed well across the board. It really liked the Rexburg area site. Rebound has done good across the board. Same with Stratica. And then you have Driver is doing well. Megatron's doing well. And our conventional varieties of Gunner and Nimbus doing very good. And then Tonica, Saltiva, and Nemastar also all performing very well. Maintaining that stand overall, because what we're after is a beautiful alfalfa field that will earn us a good return on investment, and we hope to have lots of money in the bale.